recorded live.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to financialfreedomradio.com. We also have .info. If you're a regular listener to our podcast, you'll know that we used to say, welcome to financialfreedomradio.info, because we didn't have the .com. And I was looking on the internet, poking around one day, and there it was, .com for sale. So I grabbed it up, and now it's financialfreedomradio.com. How great is that? I want to thank you all for coming and downloading. We have people doing it all over the world. My name is Raymond Jewell, and I'm going to be your host for the next 15 or 20 minutes, or however long it takes. And I want to thank Casey Jones, our engineer, for keeping us on track. You can't hear him, but I can, and sometimes that's not a good thing. It'd be nice if you could hear him. But welcome. Good morning, Casey. Yeah. All right. If you want to call and get a free consultation, you can do that at 239-300-9572. As you know, I have a background in economics, and I do economic consulting, which is building efficiency models for individuals to show you where you're being inefficient with your money. And our mission for this show, as it has not changed since 2007, since we've been doing these shows, is the mind that opens to a new idea never comes back to its original size. Albert Einstein is credited for saying it, and that's our mission, is to give you information that will enable you to expand your mind, to think differently. And if you come and listen to this repeatedly for several months and you don't get the mind expansion, which is what we're looking for, don't listen again, because it's a waste of time. But again, the mind that opens to a new idea never comes back to its original size, and that's our goal. So we're going to dig in. We're talking about entrepreneurism. If you listen to last week's podcast, I'm in network marketing, folks, and so whenever we have opportunity, we call them calls. So forgive me, it's podcast. When we talked about, is Donald Trump an entrepreneur? And the conclusion is yes, he is. We are now seeing a revolution in our country. You may see it around the world because he's touched off a spark that is igniting confrontation between entrepreneurs and non-entrepreneurs, or people that feel logically that they're being taken advantage of. And I submit that they're probably entrepreneurs and they don't know it. And people that have been taking advantage of people and don't like the fact that the world is being shaken up, or the U.S. is being shaken up. So we've got the entrepreneurs versus the non-entrepreneurs. That's the only way I can describe it. You've got lawyers and you've got the political class. They call it, quote, political class in D.C. or around the country. They don't want their little nest egg shaken up. And this past week, we saw a really great shakeup where Trump says, I don't think NATO is worth the money. We need to redo it and reshape it into the modern times. If we're going to spend money, and by the way, we're spending the lion's share of it, we need to make sure that what we're spending is worth the money. Are we getting bang for our buck? That's a businessman, folks, and we need to look at our country that way. Years ago, our forefathers were business people. They were farmers, which was a business person. They ran trade shops. I mean, they were business people, so they understood the bottom line. They understood getting bang for your buck. And so the shakeup, questioning NATO, has got everybody nuts. The same questions he's asking about the countries we protect. Is it worth it? Are we getting bang for our buck? Our infrastructure in the United States is crumbling at a huge rate. And we're spending money elsewhere. And by the way, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. And I said, you know, that's your money that they pledge all over the world. And my friend said, what do you mean? I said, it's your tax money. And do you know that the $19 trillion is partially your debt? And my friend said, well, I never thought of it like that. It's our money, folks, that they're screwing around with. So shouldn't we wake up and pay attention? We would never be this frivolous with money in our personal lives. Why should we do it with our tax dollars? So the title of this call, this podcast this week is The Entrepreneurial Mindset. And I gave you that little premise because entrepreneurs ask questions. Entrepreneurs pose questions as to the value they get in where they're spending their money. Are they getting value? Trump is posing questions about the value we're getting with our money. Now, maybe his delivery isn't the best, but he's already said to people, I'm not politically correct. I'm going to say some crazy stuff. But the point is, it's all got value. And that's what's got everybody squirming because their little gravy train is going to be disrupted. And if enough people speak out and stop listening to these political pundits and these news people, the politicians, and they vote their heart protecting their wealth, that's what will happen. Their wealth will be protected. So when you look at the entrepreneur mindset, these are people. There's three ways that you can encapsulate an entrepreneur. Number one is vision. Number two is risk. And number three is action. That's it, folks. It's not any more complicated than that. But if you read information written in the schools by educators about entrepreneurial studies, you're going to get all sorts of garbage. Vision, risk, action. What put our country together? Vision, risk, action. Having a vision. That's the key. That's 80% of the battle right there is having the vision. What does that vision look like to you? Is that vision something that you can sink your teeth in? You know, I'm a fan of network marketing. I love the business model because it's the most equitable model known to man done properly. It could also be your worst nightmare done improperly. But when you're presented with a network marketing company, I don't care what it is, if you can see the vision to get you to the wealth, that's 80% of the battle is the vision. The risk is putting up the money. It's whether the money has got the value in it to take the risk. If that's the case and you can see it, and so many times when people present risk to us, they don't present the value. If you present the value when you present the risk, people will take it every time. But if you don't present the value when you present the risk, they won't take it because they want to see the value in what their money's going for. That's why Trump is asking the questions. Is NATO giving us value? Is protecting Saudi Arabia, who is one of the wealthiest countries on the planet, giving us value? When our bridges are so questionable that when you drive over them, you hold your breath because you don't know whether they're going to crumble or not. And when you go underneath them, you're hoping a chunk doesn't fall out and bust your windshield. And the buildings that are in our country are falling apart. You go into some of the airports. I've traveled all over the world, and I've seen airports in other countries that are amazing, and I've seen airports in this country that suck. So if there's risk, excuse me, what's the value? And then the next one is action. If you don't take action in what you're doing, nothing's going to happen. Zero. And entrepreneurs know that. Now, the ways they take action is different. Some will put together a business plan. Some don't do it. Some have it in their head. Sometimes when they have it in their head, it doesn't work because you got to have it on paper. Because in your head is a perfect world. On paper, you could see the problems. But in your head, everything works perfectly and you got no problems, no inefficiencies whatsoever. So I highly recommend putting your plan down on paper. I don't care what it is. And then ticking off what you get done. But the vision has to be clear, and the longer you think of that vision, the clearer it becomes. It's magic. The universe delivers it to you because the more the subconscious mind thinks about that vision, the clearer it becomes, and the subconscious mind has a direct path to infinite intelligence. And if you want to read about infinite intelligence, read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Talks about it all the time. That's how wealthy people became wealthy, because infinite intelligence took over and allowed it to happen. Some people call infinite intelligence God. Some people call it Jobu. I made that up. And if you've ever seen the movie Major League, you'll know. So people have different names for infinite intelligence. So that's what happens when the vision becomes clear enough in the subconscious mind, it becomes real. And that's where the term realistic comes from. When people say be realistic, that means, is your vision becoming real? We've misconstrued it to mean, are you kidding me? We've got a negative answer for realism. But realism is it going to happen? So when somebody says be realistic, I'm saying, okay, I am. It's materializing. It's going to happen. So vision, risk, action. Vision, think about it long enough, it becomes real. Risk, what is the value for the risk? You know, I see these network marketing companies, and they say you're going to pay $500, you're going to pay $1,000, you can become a distributor. Well, what's the value I'm going to get for that? Tell me the value, and don't tell me that if I recruit 5 and everybody else recruits 5 and down 4 levels, I'm going to have 3,900 people. It's not going to happen. What's the value I get today for doing it? And that's a whole other discussion. If you're trying to get somebody to pony up their money, give them the value that they're going to get up front, and have that value multidimensional. When you look for value, look for the multidimensionalness of the value. Is it one-dimensional or is it multidimensional? People want to see it. Entrepreneurs want to see it. That's how you sell an entrepreneur something. And that's a little clue if you're trying to do it. Because guess what? Maybe 20% of the people in the world are entrepreneurs. But they will control 80% of the revenue stream. And that's what's happening today. You're seeing politicians trying to get control of the revenue stream, and the entrepreneurs are saying, no, no, no. And actually, it may be more than 20% entrepreneurs, maybe 20% of the ones that get the action done. But I think I'm not sure, and we may be seeing a revolution on the numbers, but I'm thinking that common sense, the way people look at things through the common sense filter, may be an entrepreneurial clue. We're seeing it in this election, that people are looking at things and saying, that's illogical, or that's logical. I like Trump because he's logical. I may not like his craziness, but I like what he's asking, the questions he's asking. And the more people, we're seeing more people think that way. And my question is, maybe they're an entrepreneur and we missed it. I don't know. But entrepreneurism drives economies. It's been that way for decades. Entrepreneurs generate wealth. Entrepreneurs start businesses, they grow their businesses to whatever level they get it to, and then the revenue streams that they bring in employs people, and it's wealth in the economy, creating velocities on the money and creating multiplier effects. Now, as a sidebar, entrepreneurs can be their worst enemy too, because entrepreneurs can get a business to a certain level. If an entrepreneur is smart enough to step out of the way and let managers take it over and run it, once they get it to the certain level, then it will go further. But if they don't do that and they try to control it, they end up killing it, or it never gets past a certain level, because entrepreneurs have a governor on their belief system. And that governor is, nobody can do it better than me. And I'm going to be in control. But if they look past that governor that's restricting their speed, then and they bring in other people to take it to the next levels, then you'll have a huge business. Every business that was ever started in the world was started by an entrepreneur. If they're still around, they were smart enough to get out of the way and let skilled managers run it. Finding the people is another thing, because entrepreneurs tend to hire in their own image. You can't hire somebody just like you, or they'll kill your business too. So the point is that entrepreneurialism drives economies. And we want to make sure that we understand this entrepreneurial mindset. And once you understand that, it opens up Pandora's box to visions that you've never seen before. So we're going to stop here. We're going to continue down this path of talking about entrepreneurialism and certain things that are centered around it. We're delving into it. We talked last week about Trump because he's the most prominent example right now. I mean, he's running for president. I have no idea why he's doing this, but he feels a calling, and if he becomes president, you will have prosperity beyond belief. If Cruz or Clinton or any of these other people get in, you'll have the same old, because they're part of the problem. I don't care what they dress up like and what they say, they're part of the problem. Because you can see the difference in the actions between Trump and the other guys. He doesn't care because he knows that he's asking for value. Where's the value? And if nobody can give him the value, then he's not interested. And that's the way our country was designed, and that's the way it should be run. So I want to thank you all for coming and listening and downloading. I hope you found this information valuable. And if you like it, come back next week at next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, financialfreedomradio.com. Have a great weekend. Great weekend. Take care. God bless you.